You have all the facts to figure out the meaning of life. But, and it's a big but, well, I could have put that better, your cultural heritage blinds you to what those facts point to. You expect the meaning of life to come in a form that doesn't exist, and the reality right in front of you doesn't register with you for what it is. We take shortcuts to allow us to react faster. That's just the way our minds work. And using shortcuts that come with our cultural heritage must improve our chances of survival statistically, or our culture would have died a long time ago. But when our cultural heritage is simply wrong, as it was, for example, when the common sense of society said that the sun revolved around the earth and that the universe was just a few thousand years old, it can take an enormous amount of time and effort to fix the problem. Eventually, however, someone always seems to come along and hit us over the head with facts and logic until we see reality the way it is. Our mental equipment regularly deludes us in the same way on a lesser scale, too, where the problem is much easier to see as something we all share, as in this personal example. One morning, a long time ago, I made myself a cup of coffee and went to the refrigerator to get some milk to put in it, but there wasn't any. So being a normal male, I shouted out to my wife, "Hey, there's no milk here." And my wife called back, "It's right there in the refrigerator." So I looked again, everywhere, repeatedly, and then I called out again, "There is no milk in here." At which point my wife got out of her contour chair in the next room, walked into the kitchen, reached into the front center of the top shelf of the refrigerator, picked up a can of pet milk, and handed me my head on a platter. My problem was that I was looking for a carton of milk, and I simply couldn't see even the clearly labeled can of milk as the milk I was searching for. In case you're wondering, my marriage to this woman still is and always has been in wonderfully good shape. She is very patient and understanding. To memorialize this embarrassing event, I like to call this feature of the human personality the milk carton effect. And if you don't already know the meaning of life, the milk carton effect is what you must be suffering from. Here are the facts. You know, number one, that every life form comes into existence from a life form that already exists. Neither you nor anyone else has ever observed any exception to this rule. Even if a scientist creates a brand new life form from scratch in a laboratory, that's still just a case of one life form creating another one. You also know, number two, that the main agenda of every life form is getting its reproductive act done. That's an essential part of what it means to be a life form. There are no exceptions to this rule. You also know, number three, that the scientific community, as you read this, is busily at work trying to figure out in exact detail how the universe was created. You also know, number four, that the scientific community has an excellent record of solving problems and of converting its discoveries into practical technologies. You also know, to a practical certainty, number five, that some first life form came into existence on this planet in the natural course of events after things cooled down enough for life to exist. And finally, you know, number six, that reproductive systems involving life forms with more than some minimal level of intelligence provide utterly compelling rewards to make sure that reproductive acts take place. If you haven't already done so, you can surely put all of these facts together like this. Since the universe and its parts are the only things that are absolutely known to exist, the obvious way to explain how the first life form appeared on our planet is to say that it was automatically created in the natural unfolding of the universe. And since only one life form can create another one, the universe must also be a living entity, as Zeno the Stoic pointed out about 2,400 years ago. With this conclusion and with what we know today, we can go on to say that the main agenda of the universe as a living organism is its own self-reproduction, that the appearance of intelligent life on our planet is a part of that reproductive process because it takes intelligent life forms to figure out how to create a new Big Bang to start off another universe, that our scientists will come to fully understand the details of that process that the reward built into the system to make sure that we perform this act will turn out to be absolutely irresistible, and that we will therefore go on to create a new Big Bang, unless the idiot Republican nutcases among us completely screw up the whole human adventure before we get to that stage. The bottom line: if we follow the facts and the logic, and don't confuse ourselves with supernatural expectations, it is virtually certain that our role in the scheme of things is to be the reproductive agent of the universe. Creating a new Big Bang is the reason we exist, and the reason we exist is what we call the meaning of life. There. See how easy that was? Or maybe not. Maybe you need to get a few questions answered and get hit over the head with more facts and logic before you can believe you found the can of milk here, which is what this video will go on to hand you on a platter. Actually, the Q&A session in the next part of this video will do much more than that. It will explain to you why being the reproductive agent of a living universe is almost certainly the best deal we could possibly have in the total scheme of things. So, do you know any other view of the human adventure that defines a serious, functional, ultimate purpose for the existence of our species, and that is also completely consistent with the facts of science as well as the common facts of human experience? I'll give you a hint. You shouldn't even have to stop and think about the answer.